Hey, Mrs. Etna, blessings to you. Blessings, blessings, blessings. How you doing today? I pray that I'm not freezing. I pray that I am not freezing. How you doing today? How you doing today? Am I freezing? Can someone let me know if I am freezing? I know I'm on a little bit. It's not that early. It's not that early. Our declaration for those of you guys that are tuning in, is going to be God is faithful. I'm going to say that again. Our declaration for those of you guys that are tuning in is God is faithful. God is faithful. I'm going to say it again. Our declaration, thank you so much, is God is faithful. He's faithful. He is faithful. I'm going to say it again. God is faithful. He's faithful. I feel like I need to say this again. God is faithful. I felt led to come on here to talk to you guys a little bit about faith. It has been a busy morning for me. It's been a productive morning for me. It is Good Friday. It is officially Good Friday. I almost said God is faithful. It is officially, Good Friday. And I pray that this Friday is exactly what the holiday says, a very good Friday for you. I wanted to talk about faith though, because, I think a lot of people think that, when we talk about, faith, that it requires something like extravagant, something that is extremely big. And although sometimes God does, acts of us, big things, faith does sometimes require big things. Sometimes it does require big leaps. Don't get it twisted. But I think a lot of people get it misconstrued because they feel like all faith is take or making to them risky moves. And I say to them because faith is never risky when God is involved. Hold on one second, you guys. Faith is never risky. Excuse me. My allergies. Faith is never risky when God is involved. I'm going to say it again. Faith is never risky when God is involved. I need somebody to type it in, even if you catching this thing on the replay. Faith is never risky when God is involved. The thing that makes it feel risky are our own fears. The thing that makes it feel risky are our traumatic experiences from a childhood to however old you are right now. What makes it seem risky is because it requires that you move in such a way where you know that you have no control over the outcome. Now, many people, like when it revolves around life in general, many of us were taught by our parents, by school systems, by the world around us to move in a way where we always have some sort of control over our lives, some sense of control over our lives, right? And so it's like when God, God's way opposes it, which his way does oppose how the world teaches us to be. It becomes a mindset where we feel like I'm taking a risk by doing this, God, right? We've seen people, and I'll say this, trusting God, right? It's not the same as a person going into a casino, expecting to let me say that again. Trusting God is not the same as a person going into a casino, taking a risk with their hard-earned money to make more money, right? It is not the same. Because if you go into a casino with your paycheck, right? Can I just be real? If you go into a casino with your paycheck expecting to double it, triple it, quadruple it, whatever the case may be, the chances of that actually happening are slim to none. Why do I say this? Because in that scenario, greed is the ultimate motive. I'm going to say that again. Greed in that predicament is the ultimate motive. It's the ultimate motive. And so it's like you could win at a casino, but nice is going to become, let me just play a little bit and win bigger. Right? But with God, greed, selfishness are never the motives for like the things for what he asks of us concerning our faith, how what the moves of faith that he asks us to make. And like contrary to popular belief, faith honestly starts off as a small movement, right? I'm going to say that again. Contrary to popular belief, having faith, choosing faith, it starts off one with a choice. But a lot of times the first move of faith that God needs you to make, it's not as big as you think it is. I'm going to say that again. A lot of times, the things that God requires, the works of faith that he requires from us, initially, those moves of faith are not as big as we think they are. It starts with something small. And but the thing about it, right? The small things that God asks of us, faith-wise, is they're not logical. It don't make sense why we would do whatever it is that he's asking us to do. Am I making sense? Give me a 1 if I'm making sense. And I pray that I'm not freezing. I don't plan to belabor this, but I got to get this word out. Am I freezing? Give me a 1 if I am not freezing. I don't see any comments. And I know I got people on here. Am I freezing? And I need you guys to either give me a 1 or type a complete sentence in so that I know that I am not freezing. If I'm freezing, I may have to exit off and come back on. Can somebody let me know if I am freezing? Am I freezing? Okay, so I'm not freezing. And so I'm going to say this again. Okay, a lot of times, the thing that makes what God is asking of us seem risky, right? The thing that like he requires of us that makes it seem risky is it goes against our logic, how we would logically move in a situation, how the world would like move in a certain situation. And so it becomes risky. But a lot of times what we don't get, it's like it is those small things that he requires of us that are not logical, that if it were up to us, we would not do. Like it is those small things that feed our faith the most. It's like it's fuel for our belief that God is going to do whatever it is, at the time that we're believing for God to do. I was having a conversation with Visha earlier today. Today was a pretty busy day. I woke up late. Yes, I did. Went to bed early. I woke up late. I was tired, y'all. As soon as I hit that bed, my eyes shut. I said, "Oh Lord, I'm exhausted." So I wake up and I knew today was the day that the people are coming to get my sofa. The people that purchased it. I'm like, I know that they are coming to like get this sofa. I'm gonna be very transparent. So they did. It took them all of like 15 minutes, and I did not help them. Do not judge me, but I wasn't picking up no furniture today. I helped them with the pillows, but Apostle T wasn't listen, I wasn't picking up no furniture. But it took them like about 15, 20 minutes to get that big old, it was a big old sofa up and out the door. Point blank period. I wasn't helping. Was not gonna do it. Absolutely not gonna do it. And so it's like I was telling God, I was a little bit sad by it, right? Because I'm like, Lord, I'm having, still in the waiting phase with the bank. Like now I don't have no sofa in my house. It looks bare, right? You want to know what God told me? The Lord told me, he said, don't let your heart be saddened by like getting rid of this couch. It's such a hot commodity couch that the people that purchased it, they had been looking at, so they knew it's a pricey couch. It was a good piece of furniture, but it's one of those sofas that is always on back order, and it's going to take 60 days to 90 days just for you to get this particular sofa. Like it was That it took me 2 months to get it, waiting 2 months for it to get in stock for me to get this particular sofa, right? And so he was just telling me that, and how they have kids and they had just been looking at this particular sofa. And so I knew that in that moment God was giving me confirmation that this was the person that he wanted me to sell it to. So I'm feeling a little bit sad because I loved my couch. I'm just going to be real. The Lord told me. He said, "Don't let your heart be saddened." He said, "Because if anything, this should encourage you all the more that you're going to get that house." And he said, even then, what's coming is always better than what's been. Because my mindset was, God, like, I wouldn't have put it on the market so soon had I known that it was still gonna be a waiting period with the bank, right? I wouldn't have put it on the market. I would not have done it if I would have known that I would not have been closing today. I'm just being totally transparent. And it's in that moment, God flashed before my eyes, my wilderness and every strategic moment in my life where God has leveled me up in some way, shape, or form. And what he showed me was this. He said, "Child, at every single moment, I've always had you moving, a way that the world would view as backwards." Can I flow? He said, "At every single juncture where you've had to believe me for something," he says, "I have always defied logic. I've always had you move in a way that to a person that does not serve me, a person that does not walk by faith, it makes absolutely no sense." And he said, if you really think about it, I've never asked anything major of you. It has literally just been small things of you to encourage you to have more faith while you wait. And he said, but a lot of people think, and a lot of people reject faith. They reject me because they feel like I'm going to ask more of them than what they can give me. I'll say that again. He said, many of my children they totally reject me. They reject the journey of faith because they feel like I'm going to take more from them than I plan to give them. Am I making sense? And so it's when I really think about it, even in when I lived with my mom, months before I moved, I asked myself, what does faith look like? And so I packed up. I packed up my entire room. I moved everything, all my clothes, all of the little things that I had into the living room. A month before I moved, I literally had purchased the sofa that I needed. I purchased maybe about a month and a half. I purchased not the sofa, but the bed that I need, the bed frame. Purchase a desk. I purchased towels and things. So to a person on the outside looking in, to my mother at the time, she looking at me crazy because the way that I was moving made no sense. But do you not know that when November 13, 2017 came, I had made so many small moves of faith that by the time that day came for me to move in while I'm waiting on the money for the rent so that I can actually get the keys, do you not know that that was ultimately what led me to feeling like you have to do this, God. I don't care how you do it, but you got to get it done. It was all of those small moves were ultimately what put me in the miracle zone on that particular day. I had made so many small moves. Throwing away my mattresses because I slept on twin size mattresses on the floor, not a bed frame, never had a bed frame, on the floor. I cleaned up that entire room. I pray that I'm making sense. Slept in my car, slept on the sofa, slept in my mom's bed when she was not there. I'm just going to be real. And so I was making so many small moves. I got the bed frame. I don't have a mattress yet. All my clothes are up. And even during that time, The enemy tried to get me to like retreat, right? He would use my mom. Oh, well, I'm gonna get you a bed frame. You can just move all your stuff back in your room. And during that phase, I had to stand my ground and say, no, I'm not moving my stuff back in my room, because the next time I would say this, the next time I move this stuff, it's gonna be up out of this house. And guess what? November 2017, it was up out of that house. That was the next time I moved anything. But you see, it was small things that God asked of me. Small things that made absolutely no sense. It was small things that he asked of me. Very small things that got me to the point, hear me now, of being able to see God work. What I would look at as the first miracle my eyes had ever seen. I'd never seen a miracle before that day. I had never seen God respond to me in such a grand way. I had never seen God move for me like that. Right? Even with this housing thing. Most, I know God told me, don't be mad at her. She's just trying to help you. She don't mean no harm. The amount of doubt that I've been, facing, like, even like to this day. Oh, well, I would have waited to get my car after I got my home. I needed a car. I wasn't waiting. God didn't tell me to wait. I needed this vehicle. My other one was quitting on me. I needed a car. Am I making sense? So it's like, it's been a lot of those things and me having to stand my ground. Like, it was faith that got me this car. Just simply doing the little things that God asked me to do. God just asked me to go back to the dealership, look at the car, apply. Just little things, little things, little decisions that he asked me to make, little things that he asked me to do, that always put me in a position to be able to receive from God. So it's like, even with this housing thing, my aunt was like, yo, you could have put it in your mom's name. And I thought to myself, if only she knew how hard I've worked, how much I've been through, I would never put my vehicle in my mother's name again. Not if I didn't have to. It was a miracle for me to be able to, she didn't understand the feats that I had to overcome just to get to that point where I didn't need my mom to co-sign on a vehicle. I pray that I'm making sense. And so, it's like, even with the sofa, I would have chosen to get rid of the sofa closer to the time when I'm getting the keys. But faith says you get rid of this now, because one is what God told you to do. And this encourages you to believe that it's going to get done, that it is going to happen for you. Of course, the point of all of this is, what are the little things that God is asking you to do right now? What are the little things that God is asking you to do, like right now? What moves is it that he's asking you to make? Is it sowing? And I'm not saying that for anybody to sow into me. Is he asking you to sow? Is he asking you to, take a leap of faith, apply for an apartment? Is he asking you to go get another vehicle? Is he asking you to, what is he asking of you right now? Is he asking you to box up, wherever it is that you live, if you're believing God for living? What is he asking you to do? And whatever those little things are, because faith always starts by small instructions. Feeding your faith always starts by a moment of God asking you to make a small choice. He's him asking you to do a very simple thing. Because it's like, when you know that you've moved by faith, and I'm gonna be real. My apartment had the notice, like, before this process even got started. That was a faith move. It was what God told me to do. So it's like, God, if you've told me to do all these things, how can you not? And I've obeyed every single thing that you've done. How could you not bring me into the promised land? It's like the children of Israel. He asked them to do a very simple thing. They finally make it through the wilderness. Right? He asked him to do a very simple thing. March around this city. I know you've had a long journey. I know you've been through the testing of your life. But if you're going to get this, I need you to just march around this city 7 times. They did it. And you want to know how God responded? He responded to their obedience. He responded to their faith. It was faith that even got them to the point of marching around that city. Don't believe me? Go back and read your Bible. When they sent spies into the promised land after they had come out of the wilderness, everybody was scared except Joshua and Caleb. The Bible says it was their faith that if God had brought them that far, that close to it, that he was going to do it. It was their faith that unlocked the last set of steps that they needed to receive their miracle. What have you been rejecting because of your own fear, your own trauma? What have you been rejecting? And I'm going to be real. A week ago, last week, I was traumatized. That was why my response was so emotional, because I've been homeless before. I've had to live out of my car before. You understand what I'm saying? And so I was not receptive to anything that God would have told me to do during that phase. But he waited until I got to a point where I was beside like the fear. I was over the fear, over the trauma, and ready to receive before he started to advance things again. Faith always starts with a small set of instructions. Blessings, Pastor Ron. I need somebody to type this in on the screen. Faith always starts with a small set of instructions. And I'm going to say this. Whatever God asks you to do, it is not going to make sense logically to you. It's just not. It's not. Many people say they want a miracle, but they're not willing to move in a way that defies their own logic, that makes them confront the fears and the traumas that they have, because that is what the journey requires. You want to get over fear? You want to get over what traumatized you? You have to face it. And so God strategically, and I do say strategically, every single thing that we go through is strategic. He strategically presents opportunities for us to overcome our fears and heal from our trauma. And the instructions that he gives us during the process, those are the things that make us face whatever fear we have. Sometimes we don't be thinking we had no fear. Sometimes we be feeling like we've healed from all the trauma. But it's oftentimes the little things that he asks us to do by faith. He asks them to do them by faith, because he knows that doing those things will only feed our faith. But it's those things that ultimately make us confront the things that are standing in the way of receiving whatever it is that, we're believing God for. So again, faith doesn't start off. It's like God ain't finna take you from 0 to 100 like that. Faith oftentimes, even for me, starts off with a small set of instructions that make no sense. That is ultimately how it starts off. And it's like you make so many small moves of faith. When it's time for the miracle, your mindset automatically shifts to, God, you have to do this for me. And so like that was the revelation that I was having, like, with the sofa. It was just like, God, you have to do this for me. Like that was my mindset. Lord, you literally have to do this for me. I've done every single thing that you've asked me to do. I've faced and confronted every single thing that you need me to confront. So me selling this sofa was a faith move. Did it make sense logically? Yeah, it does. Because it provides me with what I need for closing. But it also put me in a mindset of, you're going to do this for me. And it's going to happen soon. So that's the word. Do the small things that God is asking you to do. Whatever they are. Whether they scare you, whether they freak you out. Do the small things God is asking you to do. Like many people sit and admire my faith. Many people. And they think that I have some type of superpower as to how I am so strong, how I trust God so much. But in all actuality, I'm humbled before him, and I do the small things that he asks me to do. I don't do the things he asks me to do to receive, but I do it because I really love God. I obey because I really love him. I want everything that he has for me. So my obedience is never conditional. A lot of times I don't be knowing what's on the other side of my obedience. You know, a lot of times I don't know what's on the other side of me doing what God wants me to do. I feel all the discomfort that y'all feel. God gets the glory. I feel it. I have to deal with the uncertainty too. But the way that I overcome the uncertainty is I just keep obeying. And when it gets to a point where uncertainty just overwhelms me, I just look back and I remember all the things that God led me to do up to that point. And it always puts my mindset in a position like, God, you got to do this for me. So it's like, do I feel the uncertainty with the house thing? Yeah. God needs me to be honest. Yes, I do. Do I sometimes feel afraid? Yes. Yeah. Do I sometimes overthink? Yes. But even in those moments, I still choose to trust him. I still choose to trust him. And that was the revelation that God, gave me. That was it. Y'all, he knows what he's doing. The instructions he gives us are never random. They seem random. Sometimes the instructions seem so disconnected from whatever it is that we feel we need the most. Sometimes the instructions absolutely make no sense. Like you be looking up at God like, why would I do that? Why would I do that? Why would I do that, God? That was what the logical me was saying to God. Why would I sit on my couch? I'm finna just text him and tell them come get it next week. God said, no, you're not. You finna let them come get it because he said, how would you feel if you paid a deposit on something and somebody keeps prolonging it? I said, you right, God. I want to come get it as soon as I can. But it's like knowing that I've done all these things that God has asked me to do, you know, all the time, really. But specifically with this housing process, like my heart couldn't be more encouraged that God is going to do it for me. And the way that I got to that point of just knowing, I don't believe, I know that he's going to do it. But it's like getting to the point where I just know it was all precedented by just small acts of obedience, just being willing to do whatever God said do. Whether it scared me, whether it made me uncomfortable. That's just it. So if you want to know what my superpower is obedience. Many people compare, oh, I want a faith like Apostle D. You can get that. Just obey God. Just obey God. You can get that too. My superpower is obedience. Point blank, period. Even if I don't want to do it, I'm gonna do it, God, and I'm gonna do it with a cheerful heart. Even if it scares me, I'm gonna do it, God, and I'm gonna do it with a cheerful heart. Even if it makes me face my fears and my traumas, God, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it with a cheerful heart. And that is why I'm so blessed. Because I obey with love. With love for God, it is a blessing. You know, for God to even give us the next step, it's a blessing. Because for me, I remember the moments where God wasn't giving me nothing to do. He was like, especially in the wilderness. I remember those quiet seasons. I remember those seasons where Uncertainty was at its highest. Doubt was at its highest. Fear was at its highest. I remember those moments. And I remember how he brought me out of those moments. And so we don't obey with a spirit of fear. People be saying, do it scared. No, do it with love. We don't do nothing with fear because God didn't give us fear. So whatever God is requiring of you in this season, do it with love for him. Do it with love for him. And that's it. That's it. That's the broadcast. Jocelyn, I don't know why God, I'm not calling you out. Pay your tithes though. Pay them. That's it though, y'all. Faith starts off as something small, just small set of instructions. That's it. Whether or not you follow those small sets of instructions ultimately determines the level that you can receive from God, the level of blessing you can receive from God. So whatever it is that you need to do today, do it with love for God. Whether it is sowing, whether it is, whatever the case may be, do it with love. Do it with love. And that's it. There are some of y'all that need to sow. I don't know who you are, but sow whatever God puts in your heart. If you just now coming in, you got to watch this broadcast from the very beginning to get just the gist, what the Lord is saying, what he's speaking on today. Mrs. Edna, you need to release a faith seed. I don't know why he wants me to say this to you. A faith seed, because you have a lot of doubt and uncertainty when it revolves around like where you are, that you are dealing with. He says to tell you that again. You've been having a lot of doubts and fears about this next phase of your life, what is going to happen. So you sow whatever God tells you to sow, whether it's 100, whether it's 20, whether it's 30, and you do it with love. And so that is it. To those of you guys that feel led to sow, the links are there. For anything, if you have a testimony to share, please send it over to prayer.thoughtsbyt at gmail.com. And so until next time, y'all, peace.